Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for being interested in city, county, and regional business and interest that we have. I'm calling this meeting to order. This is the MPO Policy Committee meeting, otherwise known as the Laredo and Webb County Area Metropolitan Planning Organization. Today is January the 25th, 2022, obviously, and it's at 1:33, I believe, 1:33 p.m. for a meeting here at the City of Laredo Council Chambers at 1110 Houston Street. And obviously here in Laredo, you could join us also via the internet, laredotx.swagat.com/live. And also you can view us in Spectrum TV channel 1300. Could we call roll, please?
Yes, Mayor Science, Ms. Mendoza will help.
Present. Okay.
Good afternoon, everyone. Mayor Pete Sines,
Present.
Judge Tano Tijerina,
Present.
Councilmember Ruben Gutierrez,
Here.
Commissioner Jesse Gonzalez, Councilmember Dr. Marte Martinez, Commissioner John Galo, Councilmember Vanessa Perez, Mr. David Salazar, Mr. Humberto Tito Gonzalez.
Present.
Mr. Chairman, for the record, you do have a quorum.
We do have a quorum, so let's move forward.
Motion to excuse the ones that are absent.
For this motion, as stated by Judge Tano Tijerina, is there a second? Seconded by Commissioner or Council Member Ruben Gutierrez. Discussion, none heard. Those in favor say aye. Any opposed? None heard, none seen. Motion carries. Citizens' comments. I believe we have one gentleman here that signed up, Jose El Ceballos, for public comment. I think you have an agenda item too, and we'll ask you to come forward.
Good afternoon, Mayor, Judge.
Welcome,
all of
sir.
you, commissioners, everybody present. Very brief comments. There are 3 items on the agenda that I want to speak to. Item 4E, discussion possible action on allocating category 7 funds in the amount of $1 million towards World Trade Bridge expansion project. Obviously, we're supportive of that. I'm with Farias Development, Fasken Oil Ranch. A lot of our investment is in that realm of the city or that territory. As well, item 4G, discussion and possible action on River Road. We also support the proposal by the RMA to join you in studying that. We think it could alleviate, particularly obviously passenger traffic in the area. And the next item, 4H, discussion possible action with the HR Ruthinger Road project. Obviously, long in coming. We also support anything that you can do to move that towards construction. Obviously, those corridors are extremely needed in the area, particularly with regards to item 4E. Part of our concern with having potentially multiple presidential permits is the fact that we tend to lose ground and get distracted. And so I urge the MPO and the city and any other players involved, TxDOT, to assist in moving that permit forward. Obviously, you're trying to put some federal funds to accommodate the process that will accelerate the permitting. We urge you to do what you can to identify those resources within the city to move that project ahead. Without that, it will take longer. We already know that process for the permit for the expansion is probably a couple of years away just by standard protocols. So we urge you as a city to identify the funding to federalized funding to move that ahead. So those are my comments. Thank you very much for the time.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ceballos. Is there anyone else from the audience that you would like to speak? Seeing none, we move forward. Item 4A, that's the approval of the minutes of the meeting held on December the 15th, 2021.
There's no amendments or any changes. I will so move.
Okay, there's a motion to proceed with the approval. Is there a second? Seconded by Ruben Gutierrez. Discussion, unheard. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Not heard, not seen. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Item B, receive public testimony and initiate a 10-day public review and comment period for the following proposed amendments of the 2021-2024, a transportation improvement program, otherwise known as a TIP. And there's various sub numbers there, as you all can tell. It's 1 through 9. Well, no, 1 through 16. So, Mr. Mendive or
Yes.
some? Yes, sir, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm gonna go one by one. This is a public hearing, so I'm gonna go.
Well, do you want to open the public hearing then? Yeah.
Motion to open a public hearing?
Okay, there's a motion and a second? Second by Mr. Ruben Gutierrez. Discussion? None heard, all those in favor say aye. Any opposed? None heard? None seen, motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Would you read the, it's being a public hearing, would you read the items and then, we'll call
Yes.
upon anyone who's in favor or against?
So right away, just a quick overview. The 2021-2024 TIP. So mentioned here, it's federal law requires that MPOs in cooperation with the state and affected transit operators develop a transportation improvement program for their planning areas for a 4-year period. All MPO TIP documents are subsequently combined to form the statewide transportation improvement program. Revisions to the TIP involving major changes require a public review and comment period and formal action by the MPO Policy Committee prior to being added to the STIP. And our MPO Public Participation Plan requires a 10-day public review and comment period for amendments to the TIP. I'll read the amendments now one by one. So we have number 1, this is related to the World Trade Bridge, addition of project CSJ 0922-33-213, intended to provide for preliminary engineering and construction for the expansion of the existing World Trade Bridge. The estimated construction cost is $12 million, with an estimated total project cost of $16 million. The project sponsor is the City of Laredo, and the proposed letting date is FY 2024. Project number 2, revision of project CSJ 0922-33-166 for the construction of a Ruthinger Road. Purpose of the amendment is to update the project description to read new location construction of 4-lane divided highway to adequately describe the initial construction phases. Amendment number 3, revision of project CSJ 0922-33-165 for the construction of a Ruthinger Road. Purpose of the amendment is to update the project description to read new location construction of a 4-lane divided highway to adequately describe the initial construction phases. Amendment number 4, revision of project CSJ 0922-33-165 for the construction of a Ruthinger Road. Purpose of the amendment is to revise the existing funding amounts. Funding amounts will be adjusted to increase Category 7 funds from $26,796,901 to $28,431,178, and it will add $2,341,935 allocated to the project through the Coronavirus Response and Relief Supplemental Act funds. Amendment number 5, we have a revision of project CSJ 0086-01073 for the widening of State Highway 359. Purpose of the amendment is to revise the existing funding amounts. Funding amounts will be adjusted to include $7 million in Category 11 funds. We have revision number 6, revision of project CSJ 0086-14089 for the reconstruction of an existing 6-lane highway to propose 6-lane freeway with 3-lane frontage roads from 0.51 miles south of Shiloh to International Boulevard. Purpose of the amendment is to revise the existing funding amounts. Funding amounts will be adjusted to include $2,605,222 in Category 11 funds and decrease Category 10 funds from $9 million to $4,285,269. Amendment number 7, revision of project CSJ 0086-14088, reconstruction of existing 6-lane highway to propose 6-lane freeway with 3-lane frontage roads at University Boulevard to Shiloh Drive. Purpose of the amendment is to revise the existing funding amounts. Funding amounts will be adjusted to replace $11,500,000 in Category 4 funds with Category 2U funds, increase Category 10 funds from $8,500,000 to $22 million, and include $11,894,778 in Category 11 funds. Amendment number 8, revision of project CSJ 0086-14079 for the construction of US 59 interchange at University Boulevard. Purpose of the amendment is to revise the existing funding amounts. Funding amounts will be adjusted to include $2,514,639 in Category 10 funds. Amendment number 9, revision of project CSJ 0086-14076 for the construction of the US 59 interchange at Shallow Drive. Purpose of the amendment is to revise existing funding amounts. Funding amounts will be adjusted to include $10,356,549 in Category 10 funds. Amendment number 10, revision of project CSJ 0086-14075 for the construction of US 59 interchange at Del Mar Boulevard. Purpose of the amendment is to revise the existing funding amounts. Funding amounts will be adjusted to include $4,346,123 in Category 10 funds. Number 11, reprogramming of project CSJ 0018-06185 for the construction of a new direct connector number 3, South I-35 to East I-69 West. Purpose of the amendment is to remove this project from the 2021-24 tip, as the updated letting date for this project has been changed to FY 2026 and is outside of the current tip years. Number 12, revision of project CSJ 0086-14086 for the reconstruction of existing 6-lane divided highway to proposed 6-lane freeway facility with a section including 3-lane frontage roads from US 59 to 0.4 miles north of East Corridor Road, which is at the airport. Purpose of amendment is to revise the existing funding amounts. Funding amounts will be adjusted to increase Category 12 funds from $15,600,000 to $29,290,676. Number 13, revision of project CSJ 0086-14078 for the construction of US 59 interchange at Jackman Road. Purpose of the amendment is to revise the existing funding amounts. Funding amounts will be adjusted to increase Category 12 funds from $17 million to $21,742,567. Number 14, revision of project CSJ 0086-14077 for the construction of US 59 interchange at airport. Purpose of the amendment is to revise the existing funding amounts. Funding amounts will be adjusted to include $16,418,996 in Category 12 funds. And then number 15 and number 16 are administrative amendments. They're just here for transparency purposes. Administrative amendment of project CSJ 0922-33181 to improve connections, accessibility, and security for up to 17 bus stops. Purpose of the amendment is to revise the estimated letting date from fiscal year 22 to fiscal year 23. This project letting date revision is listed for informational purpose only. Thus moving the letting date when the tip year does not require formal revision. And number 16, administrative amendment of project CSJ 0086-002-023 for the widening of State Highway 359 from 8.935 miles east of Loop 20 and 9.83 miles east of SL Loop 20. Purpose of the amendment is to adjust the right-of-way purchase cost information. Change in right-of-way cost information does not require formal revision.
So, yeah, so this is a public hearing?
Yes, the public hearing. and
Yes,
then-
sir. Yeah, Mr. Salazar, is this our Christmas present with all these millions of dollars that Austin is pouring into Laredo, Texas?
Merry Christmas. No, Ms. Mendivia, great job of reading through all 14 items. Specifically, there are some additional funds here and there. A couple of highlights that if you could give me the opportunity to discuss. Of course,
Sure, yes, go ahead.
item number 1 was the addition of the $1 million for the,
Yeah, hold on, just for the record, I would like to abstain from anything on the Highway 359, which is, I think, it's item 5 and 16. Just for the record, we own some property on Highway 359, and I want to be clear that I don't want to discuss that or at least much less vote on it.
We'll make note of that and reflect it in the minutes.
Thank you, sir.
thank you, ma'am. So basically what we're doing is we're cleaning up a couple of items on the STIP. There's a couple of definitions that we changed on Route 3 charter. Instead of calling it frontage road, we call it 4-lane divided. For federal fund purposes, that's the main issue. Item number 1, we added the $1 million for the CAT $7 for the expansion of World Trade Bridge. Item number, yes, sir.
Hold on, I think you have a question or?
Yeah, I do, actually, on item number 1. I'm sorry, Mr. Salazar, never mind. My question is on item number 1. It seems like that's the only one that's needing a permit. Am I correct by saying that, Mr. Mendivia?
When, a permit for,
Well,
we can't build it unless we have a presidential
Oh,
permit.
President, yes, that's correct.
So how is it on this list?
No, right now, this is a project that the city of Laredo is a project sponsor. Right now, there's been no federal or state funds allocated to this. It's currently a locally led project. There will be a discussion item further in the meeting to talk about allocating some funds. But when someone in the MPO boundary, such as the city, they come forward to us with a project that they intend to build within these tip years, which they're estimating to let it in FY 2024, we're able to add that project to the tip. It's a regionally significant project.
So all of a sudden it becomes number one project?
No, it's not. It would just be added to the tip in FY 2024. This is on number one here because it's an addition, so it's towards the top. The other ones are amendments to existing projects. So this project is on the top of the list just because it's an addition.
So the chances are they're still not gonna get any monies on this.
That's for the
Well, I
discussion
shouldn't
for
even
the
say
policy
monies,
committee.
forgive me. Chances are that it's not even gonna get a permit for this.
Well,
Yeah, well, that's not something that this committee decides. So
So we
what
could
we're
just start
deciding
putting,
is
we could
just
just
to,
start putting things like the 4-5 bridge and all this kind of stuff, we could just start putting it on here because we really don't decide it?
well, if there's an actual timeline, an estimation for this and, project scope, and this is coming forward and we're being told that this project is gonna be built, and they're letting us know that right now it's completely locally funded, then it can be added to the tip.
do you want to, since we're talking about the bridges, do you think we can bring in the other item so we can talk? Because I know we have the SEA.
Yes, we have a project consultant for the city here as well.
Yeah,
There's
let me
questions about
motion,
that.
yes, to this B1, I guess. What's the agenda item on the other one, so we can bring it up?
I don't believe Mr. Salazar's done, I was just asking this a
Okay.
very simple question, I'm
Yeah, if you
sorry.
can reserve some of those comments and questions, we'll
Maybe
bring it
keep
up
those
again.
items separate since this is a public hearing. And right now, what we're gonna do today is open a 10-day comment period. We're not taking final action on this. The 10-day comment period is open and would come back hopefully in a special
And I
meeting.
think you can make the same comments.
To approve those
when we bring in
amendments.
The other item, but I think you're right, I think, yeah, let's finish up on these and then, yes, Mr. Salazar, continue, please.
Yes, sir. And item 2 and 3 are basically a reclassification or changing of the wording from new location construction for Rolling Divided. We're just changing the verbiage on that. Item number 4 is where we attach the $2.34 million that came from the Corona Response and Relief Supplement Appropriation Act, taking the dollar amount from 26.7 to 28.4. This is for Ruth Inchar. Item number 5, we went ahead and added some additional Rider 11 funds that the TxDOT gets appropriated. This is for the 5 lanes divided on FM 359. Item number 6 through number 10, that is a project on Loop 20, I-69 that's gonna get constructed here shortly and go to letting. All we're doing here is we're adjusting the final dollars. As you recall, we had total dollar amounts in the bridge construction and the roadway construction. No additional funds, no new funds, we're just kind of allocating to the proper function so we can get that project completed. Item number 11, again, is a TxDOT project. This is where we're getting direct connector number 3. Direct connector number 3 is South 35 southbound toward East Loop 20. And we're adding, because we got the additional funds about 2 years ago, we're adding direct connector 35 northbound to East Loop 20. The only thing we're doing here is we're being asked to move to a fiscal year letting of 2026. So we're pushing it back a couple of years just to get that constructed and designed. Nothing changes there. And then items 12 through number 14 is the southern extension of Loop 20, which is going to be the intersection at Jackman at the airport. And all we're doing here is that we were able to secure TxDOT dollars in the amount of $34.1. We're just adding those to those projects so we can complete those projects. It's a quick summary, but I would like to answer questions on any one of those items if you like.
Yes, sir, so as far as additional monies that TxDOT has provided to us, can you estimate how many millions of dollars we?
For the southern portion, we went ahead and added $34.1 million for the southern portion that lets in 24. And then for 359, we allocated, let me look at the number, right, $11. I think we allocated
It was a 7 million.
$7 million as is written there in the item there. So it was an additional 34. $41 million. And then we went ahead and attached the $2.34 million that the city secures for the response and relief supplement to the child within jail in the amount of $2.3 million.
We sincerely appreciate that, from TxDOT. Yeah, these are monies that, at least I wasn't counting on, but thanks to you all, you know, we can make these projects happen.
Mayor, if I can just clarify on that too, Mr. Salazar mentioned that $34.1 million was CAT 12 funding that was approved at last UTP, the UTP
Okay.
2022. It is currently already approved in the UTP. Now we are just updating the tip to reflect that money that was previously approved.
Okay,
And then as you mentioned, that it actually totals 21.5 million in category 11, right 11B. Those projects that are currently already inside the 4-year tip that we identified funding gaps on, we want to make sure that they stay there and are priorities for the region. So we're using TxDOT funds to fill the gaps on those projects to make sure we leave them where they are.
okay, well, we still appreciate that very much.
I'm sorry, Mr. Salazar, if I may. What was the number again?
In total for each project?
In total, everything.
Okay, so let's sum that up so we get it right. The southern portion of Loop 20 was 34.1. And then in Route 11 money, it was $21 million?
21.5, yeah.
21.5.
I'm sorry, so total for the southern region,
34.1, I think.
okay, and what was the other one, I'm sorry?
21.
21.5.
And that, what region is that, I'm sorry?
That's getting
359.
distributed through SH 359, which is getting 7 million, and then the remaining 14.5 are going to the US 59 project that's slated to let in August of 2022 this year.
So that's not the 34 million, that's
No,
on top of.
yes, they're on top of, that's on top of, yes. So that's why I said it's 34.1 in cap 12, and then an additional 21.5 of Rider 11B, which are TxDOT funds, and we chose to allocate to this region.
Yeah. 359, remember, is a project that we're going out with 5-lane divided for 3 miles, and then we're gonna go to 4-lane divided beyond that, for a total of about 6 miles on the project.
Right, and I want to reiterate that these are all projects that are currently in the STIP already. They currently have approved schematics, they have PSN under development, they have environmental clearance already underway, some already completed, which is why we chose those projects to allocate those funds to.
Very well, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Again, it's
wanted
a
to-
public hearing.
Just to address some of Judge Tijerina's questions about the World Trade Bridge, adding this project to the MPO documents, it's an important step of the entire project development phase. FHWA, for them to be able to, actually partake in this project, they want to see a regionally significant project such as this added to these documents, even if it doesn't have federal funding. That's an important step in the whole entire project development phase. And
I'm
so-
glad you bring that up, Mr. Mendivas, so if I may ask a question there.
Sure, yes, sir.
So, did I miss it, or did I not see it on here, or is it not on here? The extension of the loop all the way to Zapata Highway for the 4-5 bridge.
Yeah, that's something that we can add for future,
So that's exactly what I'm saying. So here we have the expansion of the bridge.
right.
We're getting prepared for that, but the actual, what we really need is to finish off that little part that's left for the loop. It's not on here.
So Judge, I think I can help you clarify that. So what we're looking at here is the tip, right, which is the 4-year window. That project is in our long-range plan. It currently is not funded, so it does not reside inside the 4-year tip, which is why we don't have to do the revision, but it is a project that's programmed. It is a project that we are competing for funds, and as we will discuss later, is a project we're gonna ask the MPO to prioritize so they can compete for dollars again this UTP process.
So then again, my question still stands. How is number 1 on here then?
So how, when is the 4-5 bridge being proposed to be let? Is it by FY 2024, before? That's the thing, as the MPO, right, these projects are brought forward either by the city, the county can bring forward a project to TxDOT, and then we program it in our documents. So this is something that the city has approached us, that they needed to add this project to.
Yeah, I think we can clarify that too, Judge.
So I guess to sum it up, I mean, that's fine, they could sum it up all they want, I'll sum it up pretty quick then. Let's sum it up is that we don't need to finish off the, it seems like we're not wanting here as the MPO to finish off the loop. I mean, that's what it sounds like.
No, hold on, I think, yeah, Mr. or Yvette, I guess, yeah, on the, yeah, Mr., I forget your name, from SEA.
I'm just trying to gather pieces of
No, no,
information that I'm
we
gathering
wanna
right now.
feed you
and
that
it's just-
information.
Just questions.
Yeah, uh, what's the gentleman's name? I'm sorry, I forget your name. Sid Milky, yes, sir. Yeah, we had we have an agenda item too that speaks to that, but I guess this kind of lends itself as well. You know, my understanding was that to do an environmental study, we need, for it to be placed on this tip for federal recognition, not that, you know, we'll get some monies, you know, there's gonna be a minimum amount, but all we need is to qualify for the U.S. Highway transportation people to actually begin to, you know, to do the environmental study. Is that the reasoning here?
Yes, Mayor, Sid Melky with Structural Engineering Associates for the record. The rules changed relative to presidential permitting in early 2019. There was an executive order issued that altered the way presidential permits were reviewed and issued, and also the way their environmental clearances were issued and the timing for it.
And that's
So
also gonna change now again.
It hasn't yet.
It will. It's going to.
So anyway, when the executive order was issued, it removed the requirement for the Department of State to be the authority over the environmental clearance of a project. It also reversed the order in which the environmental clearance was to be done relative to the presidential permit. So it allowed the presidential permit application to be submitted up front and the presidential permit to be approved with the agreement that all other permitting would be done. But it did not define who would be the responsible agency on the federal side for the environmental clearance. In the time period since that point, we have been discussing with Federal Highways, and they have agreed to be the federal reviewer of the environmental assessments for international projects of this nature that require a presidential permit. However, in order for them to participate, any project has to be listed within the TIP and the STIP for the state, and it also has to have a small amount of funding assigned to it that allows them to participate. And I think initially today, the idea is to get the project listed in the TIP. And then also there's been some money identified for it to be listed with it. What that does is when the presidential permit is issued, and the city has authorized our firm to create the presidential permit application, it'll be submitted 1st of April this year. So that when the presidential permit is issued and or before, we could begin the environmental clearance process, because the FHWA now has the ability to participate. This money would be, I believe, construction funding. It's not necessarily preliminary engineering, but the city is funding all the upfront engineering funding, preliminary-wise, at this point.
So how much money is being attributed to this? You know, the minimal amount, did we, you know, figure that out? What minimum do we
So
need?
we're recommending just $1 million from category 7, so not to exceed 1 million. Like I said, that's a separate action item.
Okay.
And then that, I know you mentioned, Mr. Murphy, that would be listed, but that would be a separate amendment. Because once that's awarded, then there's still conversations between TxDOT and the project sponsor to enter into the AFA and all that. So that would be, if that's approved, then that would be done in a subsequent amendment. Right now, what we're doing is adding the project into the TIP and our long-range plan. And we're doing that as a locally led project that's regionally significant.
Okay, and of course, the intention is that the city of Laredo would finance the bulk of this. We need at least some federal monies identified so we can qualify for that, for the Federal Highway Department to begin their.
As the current
The
rule
environmental
exists, Mayor,
study.
we have discussed with CBP, with GSA, and with FHWA, which are the 3 primary stakeholders relative to an international bridge and or an amendment to an existing bridge. And FHWA is the agency that has stepped forward and agreed to be the stakeholder and the reviewer and approver of the NEPA document. That's all this is about, is trying to get FHWA to have the authority to be involved in the project.
Yeah, because when the permit, the application is submitted by April, we need to identify that there are at least some federal funds so that the Federal Highway Department can, can check that box and they can begin the environmental
Been working with the city
requirement.
and TxDOT, yes, after
Yeah.
the AFA is signed, yes.
Yeah, and I guess too, Judge, I know it's this expansion versus a 4-5, and we've been having these discussions throughout for years, I think. But rest assured, I mean, the community, from the standpoint of the city, and I think you saw that, we're committed to both projects. Both projects are high priority projects. Granted, maybe this came first, simply because it's more aligned, I think. The 4-5 is also a huge, high priority for us as well. But we all know that it's going to take a little time to develop all the infrastructure and get that started. We do plan a visit in Mexico to discuss both, and of course you're invited. You're there. You'll be there alongside with the city as well, or us alongside with the county.
I appreciate you stating that, thank you.
And again, let's understand, I think for the public's sake, let's put this aside. Both projects are very, very important to us. We recognize that you all have an interest in the 4-5. The city has recognized that, Judge. So we're in the process, as you know, of trying to develop some sort of a governmental, interlocal agreement of some sort for both entities, the city and the county, are committing to participating in the 4-5 bridge development and operations. This is great for the entire community. We've had heated debates, but that's a past. We need to move forward, and I would ask that we take it in that light of full cooperation from both entities, the city and the county. We're here side by side, Judge, and since the very beginning, since you and I started, well, at least our tenures here, at least mine, I know you've been at it longer than I have. We decided that we were going to work very closely together and work amicably. We don't want to.
Mayor, if I may, I have to, I'm sorry, but.
Go ahead.
And that was the case. But then the city council decided to go ahead and do it upon themselves. So what you're saying doesn't come out. Your actions are speaking your words are speaking very different than your actions. And, you're saying that it's the same. Well, all I'm asking, and I agree, the expansion of the bridge is, if that's what y'all want to do, I already told you I'm not going to ever go against it, and that's something that needs to be done. That's fine. But you're telling me that it's equal to, and I don't see it here. Mayor, if I may?
But we can put it in the next agenda. Go ahead.
No, that's fine.
No, we'll put, it just so happened because I think this permit application has been programmed for some time now. And the purpose of the Mexico trip was to visit with all the stakeholders, county included, so we can formulate, a timeline as to the 4-5 bridge as well. We certainly want that done. And I want you to, and I know the process as to how we got to the 4-5 as far as the city was not pleasant, obviously for the county, but that was the way it kind of came about with council members as well, and I don't want to throw in Council Member Gutierrez, but he was very much present there as well. So ultimately, the city did recognize that the county is very much part of this 4-5 bridge operation and development. So rest assured, the city has made a decision. The city is committed, along with the county and the 4-5, and I think we need to proceed on that basis. And I want to assure you that you have my assurances through the MPO here that we'll do everything possible to get the 4-5 aligned as well as soon as possible. But I was figuring we visit first with all the stakeholders in Mexico City and in Washington, and then we know more or less what timeline we're all pursuing. The timeline here in the city has been set, basically, even before, we concluded the 4-5 plans with the county. So that's basically our side, and if I owe you an apology, I apologize publicly, Judge, but, you know, it did get messy with the city, but I think at the subsequent meeting, if you saw that, we clarified that, and council recognized that 4-5 was only gonna happen if we all stakeholders, the county and the city would get behind it and do that for the sake of the community, and that's a bigger goal. I mean, it's not who's bigger, the county or the city, it's who we provide service to, and that's really the taxpayers and residents of Webb and the city of Laredo. So anyway, that's my explanation along those lines.
Mayor, if I may, and Judge, while I certainly understand your concerns, just kind of wrap ourselves around this. So we're kind of finalizing the tip for 21-24. We do have an opportunity to revise those. So 21-24, we've been working on these projects for the past 2 years. You know, 21, 22, those are the important ones. Those are the ones that are coming up, the Loop 20 project. We can come back and revise them. I understand the judge's concern about the southern. So later on the agenda, we're gonna be working on prioritizing those projects, which we're gonna prioritize those projects. We're gonna prioritize the southern extension. We're gonna prioritize the loop, depending on how the MPO feels that we're gonna be voting. Once those projects are prioritized, we will be submitting those to Austin. Now, we get funding for those projects sometime in August when it's approved by Transportation Commission to fund those projects. You can bet we're gonna revise this tip once more and get those projects under. It's just hard on TxDOT on our half to get those funded or prioritized without any funding. So we're hoping that once we get this prioritizing of projects in line and we get funding in August, we can come back to you and revise the tip. Here we go. We got this funding. We're gonna prioritize the southern extension of the loop. We're gonna prioritize the outer loop for Bridge 4-5. So there's an opportunity that's coming up. What we're trying to do right now is we're trying to get this tip approved so we can move forward with these projects. And while I do understand your concern, just remember that there is time to revise and there is time to prioritize and there is time for additional funds to come.
Yeah, so thank you for that explanation too, Mr. Salazar. Okay, so, anything else, Judge, on this?
No, sir, we're good.
Thank you. Okay, so, yeah, thank you, Mr. Milky, and I apologize for not remembering your name. And of course, Ms. Yvette Limon, she's our bridge director. Okay, so it's a public hearing, it'll be open for 10 days.
Yeah, so you would need to close the public hearing right now and initiate a 10-day comment period.
Okay, is there a motion?
Motion to, I'm sorry, what was it, Mr. Mendoza?
Close the public hearing,
Motion to close the
And
public
initiate a
hearing and
10-day
initiate a 10-day
public
comments
comment and review
period.
period.
And seconded by that, a discussion, and of course I abstained on the items of 5 and 16, I believe. Anything dealing with Highway 359. Call for the question, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None heard, motion carries. Okay, moving on to C. I received public testimony and initiate a 10-day, oh no, we need the other motion, right, to initiate the 10-day?
This is to open another public comment period.
Okay, but did we satisfy the other
Yes.
matter? Okay, good.
Yeah, he did it in one motion.
Okay. So C, I received public testimony and initiate a 10-day public
So
review
moved.
and comment period, okay. Motion seconded by Mr. Gutierrez? Yes, sir.
This is to open a public comment public hearing as well. Everything that's changed on the tip needs to be
No,
reflected.
hold on, let me,
Okay.
yeah, so, let me get through the action now. So discussion, no action, no discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, none heard, motion carries, go ahead, sir.
Yes, so this is also a public hearing, and the action would be to initiate a 10-day public review and comment period. This is just to make those revisions that we just discussed for the tip, to make that in the 2020-2045 Metropolitan Transportation Plan. Again, the addition of project CSJ 0922-33213, intended to provide for preliminary engineering and construction for the expansion of the existing World Trade Bridge. The estimated construction cost is $12 million, with an estimated total project cost of $16 million. Project sponsor is City of Laredo, and the proposed letting date is FY 2024. And then a revision of Appendix A, short-range projects identified in the MTP and listed in the tip as necessary to incorporate and reflect the proposed revisions to the 2021-2024 tip.
Okay, so this is a public hearing. anyone wishing to speak for or against, for or against, for or against? And if not, there'll be a 10-day public review as well.
Yeah, we'll just ask that there be a motion to close the public hearing.
Motion to close the public hearing and open a 10-day comment period.
As presented, seconded by Rubens Gutierrez. Discussion. None heard, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None heard, none seen, motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Next item is D, a discussion of possible action on scheduling a special MPO Policy Committee meeting the second week of February 2022 to receive public testimony and consider final action on the proposed revisions to the 2021-2024 Transportation Improvement Program, TIP, and the 2020-2045 Metropolitan Transportation Plan, which is the MTP.
Correct, so
So you need a motion to
yeah, so these amendments that right now we're opening the public review period for,
to close.
we need to have a second meeting to approve the resolution approving these amendments
Okay.
and receive any testimony that's received during that comment period. All of these amendments, if we want to meet the February revision for the STIP, have to be, they have to be approved prior to February 11th. So we're asking that there be a special meeting the second week of February, but prior to February 11th. Right now, I know there's availability on the 7th and the 8th at 1:30, but there might be other options too. But we wanted to have a discussion to see when the committee would be available to come back. It should be a very brief public meeting to approve the resolutions and just receive the comments that were received during the comment period.
Okay, thank you. So we need action, we need a,
Yeah, we need action. I don't know when the committee would be available. Like I mentioned, we can do it on the 7th or the 8th at 1:30. I know Chambers is available those 2 days.
I motion for the 8th at 1:30.
8th is what day of the week?
Tuesday.
Tuesday, okay. So the 8th at 1:30, okay, seconded?
Second.
Second by Judge Donna Tejerina. Discussion? Not heard, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Not heard, motion carries unanimously. Thank you. E, a discussion with possible action on committing and allocating fiscal year 2024 Category 7 funds in the amount of not to exceed $1 million toward the CSJ 0922-33-213 World Trade Bridge expansion project. And I think it was explained in the other item that we covered on the World Trade Bridge. The purpose of this to facilitate the environmental work that needs to be done once the permit application is submitted sometime in April. And that work would be done by the Federal Highways Department in Washington. So it's, and I think we covered some of that, the reasoning why.
Yeah, that's correct. The sources of funding can be from any federal sources. The Category 7 funds are the ones that the MPO has discretion over. So if we wanted to help to move this forward, that is the way the MPO could help right now. There's no minimum requirement for us to provide for the federal participation to kick in, but it does have to be, serious. It can't just be that we're putting in, just a few dollars just so they can participate. It has to be serious funding, and that
Okay.
so they can participate with the environmental process.
Oh, that's fine. So do you want a motion? Yeah, for that E?
That was E.
Okay, I'm sorry, E? Yes,
That was E.
Yeah, and to be clear, these Category 7 funds are from FY 2024, as right now Category 7 funds are tied to HR Ruthinger, so there will be funds available in FY 2024.
Okay, I'm sorry, to be clear, what now?
Yeah, the Category 7 funds, these would be available until fiscal year 2024, as right now all Category 7 funds are tied to the HR Ruthinger project.
Correct, but it's not interrupting any present project, correct?
No, yeah, I wouldn't interrupt because the proposed letting date for the project is FY 2024, and it's when those the 4 tip years. So as long as there is federal funds that are being allocated, in that window, you're okay.
Okay, so we're not hurting any existing project, or stopping or anything, yeah, so.
There's a lot of competition, but right now there's no funds that are allocated in FY 2024 for any other projects at this moment.
And
but I-
and
TxDOT,
that's
I
the
think, wants to
proposed year, I think, where construction's gonna begin, I believe also for the expansion.
That's correct. Yeah, I want to clarify what Mr. Mendez said. The funds for Cat 7, as per the MPO's discretion and approval, are currently allocated up to 23. This is what's on the table is to propose using $1 million of it. I want to be very clear that in order for this project to get approved and remain inside that 4-year tip window, the gap that's going to remain, which is you're saying it's a total project cost of 16 million. We're gonna put $1 million of Cat 7, so that 15 million will need to be programmed as Category 3 local funds by the city of Laredo in order to be, remain inside the UTP, and the STIP. So, Mr. Rodriguez can help me define or clarify whether we need some sort of resolution or something from the city on those dollars, because that is the way it currently has to be programmed. Yeah.
Yeah, Ramon Chavez, if you don't mind, yeah. Mr. Chavez.
Honorable Mayor and members of the committee, Ramon Chavez, City Engineer. Yes, sir, that's something that we can definitely work on. We'll take note of it and
Yeah, and not along, just for the public's sake, you know, the city of Laredo was gonna finance its portion of the World Trade Bridge, so it's not, you know, it's not like we're, you know, gonna be taking from other projects. You know, we're doing this simply because we need to get the Federal Highway Department to, or the Federal Highway, I guess, Department, yeah, from Washington to get them involved to the minimal extent so they can do the environmental study on that World Trade Bridge expansion.
we'll proceed as directed.
Okay, and then we can probably get a resolution from the city.
Yes, sir.
Okay, there's a motion to approve. Is there a second? Yeah, I would second that. Discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? I take it as all yeas?
Very hard for me to say yea on that.
Okay, you abstain, or what do you want? No,
No.
okay? Okay, yeah, I'll take it as a yes, Judge, unless you tell me otherwise.
I'll
Okay.
say yes.
Okay, yes, thank you. It's unanimous, thank you, and thank you, Judge. When it comes to the 4-5, I'll be there too, Judge, don't worry. Let me see, where are we? F? Discussion and recommendation and, yeah, call for the, yeah, it passed unanimously, yeah. F, a discussion and recommendation on approving a resolution MPO 2022-01, adopting and supporting the Texas Department of Transportation's 2022 targets for the following federal safety performance measures. And there's 5 elements there. A number of traffic fatalities, rate of fatalities per 100 million vehicles miles traveled, a number of serious injuries, rate of serious injuries per 100 million vehicles miles traveled, number of non-motorized fatalities, and non-motorized serious injuries. Yes, sir.
Yes, thank you. So this is a federal requirement. These targets are set by the state and they're updated every year. As a 5-year rolling average, I have a table up on the screen. It's also in your packet. Again, these are federally required. The state's required to set these targets and update them every year. You've seen a linear trend, and the MPO has just asked that we, support these targets and incorporate them in our planning activities.
You need a motion?
Yes.
So moved.
Yeah, motion by Judge Tijerina, seconded by Ruben Gutierrez, council member and commissioner here in this committee. Discussion, none heard, all those in favor say aye. Any opposed? None heard, none seen, motion carries unanimously, thank you. G, discussion of possible action on the River Road project.
Yes,
Do
sir.
we have any updates? I know we
Yeah.
decided that we would bring it, but if there were no updates, we would let it.
Right at this, I'll try to chart with you, but for Rural Road, also right now, I know our legal team is working with the RMA's legal team to see how the MPO can participate in the Rural Road study with the RMA by using their procured GEC. So they're just making sure on the legalities of that. Once that's confirmed, we'll come back and we'll discuss it with the technical committee and then bring a recommendation to the policy committee to ask if you would like to participate in that study. So right now, that's where we're at right now. I'm just asking that this be tabled in the meantime till the next regular scheduled meeting.
Motion on table.
Motion on table, is there a second? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None heard, none seen. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Discussion of possible action on the Achad Ruthinger Road project. Either
Nothing.
by text dot or,
It's by text dot, Mayor. Nothing much to report. We are moving forward with the design. Environmental clearance should be cleared by September. Mr. Gonzalez, is there anything else you'd like to add to that?
by September, construction should begin.
No, sir, yes, currently construction is slated for August of 2023. Utilizing these Cat 7 funds that I just mentioned earlier. Environmental clearance should be obtained by September of this year, and we had a kickoff meeting actually with the consultant yesterday to kick off the design, so design is already underway. So,
Wonderful, thank you very much. Yeah, no action needed, so moving on to reports and presentations. We have a status report by the RMA. Hi, welcome, sir. Mr. Brown.
Good afternoon, Mayor, Judge, members of the MPO. Jed Brown, Chair of the RMA. Would like to point out that we have 4 additional members of the RMA that attended today. I'm pretty excited they're here.
Thank you for
Oscar
being here.
Lopez, Arturo Dominguez, George Beckelheimer, and Tony Arce. So thank you, gentlemen, for coming. And Melissa Montemayor from HNTV is here. In your agenda packet, we included updates on 7 projects that we're working on. If you've looked through them, I'm available to answer any questions. For the sake of getting through these meetings more quickly, we're trying to be as thorough as we can be for you to read up, but if you have questions, I'm here to answer anything.
Now, you've also done a really good job by showing up at the city, chambers and commissioners court, so we appreciate that.
Well, thank you, sir. I enjoy my job. It's fun volunteer service, and hopefully we're gonna just keep moving things forward and helping build roads with you
Keep
all.
up the good work. Thank you.
Yes,
Appreciate
sir.
you guys.
Thank you.
And I feel the same way as well. Thank you for that, for all the great work you all are doing.
Thank you. Yes,
And I
sir.
think there's really when the RMA started, when I had a little bit of history, it was kind of shaky at first, remember, Judge? But now, through all of y'all's leadership, I think we truly have a good working relationship, and we appreciate that very much.
That's great. Thank you very much. We appreciate that.
Appreciate you.
Moving on to B, 5B, update of City of Laredo engineering staff on the FM 1472 Fletcher Lane realignment and Calton Road grade separation projects listed in the 2021-2024 Transportation Improvement Program. Mr. Chavez, welcome.
Honorable Mayor and members of the committee, Ramon Chavez, City Engineer. As part of your package, we did provide a full update on the status of the projects. I have here Gloria Perez Saavedra, who's a project engineer, to provide any additional information to the committee.
Hi, welcome.
Good afternoon, members of the MPO.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
The status report for this month for the Calton Road grade separation and roadway widening. As all we know, we approved the amendment number 11. Well, it was approved by TxDOT back in August, and then back in September, it was approved by City Council. So this is the amendment number 11 for Arcades in the amount of $322,975.61. And this is to complete the project and go out for bids on August of this year and complete construction by August 31st of 2024. We are working very actively with TxDOT, having coordination meetings with the Union Pacific Railroad Company and with city staff and fire department and traffic department to make sure that we're in compliance with all the new requirements and make sure that we're putting everything in our plans and specifications when we go out for bids on August of this year. The environmental study is being updated by Arcades. We're sending out letters to all of the property owners adjacent to this area of the project. We're having meetings with Union Pacific, and they're giving us their report for the agreement that is gonna, we're hopefully bringing the agreement by May of this year. So we have a design schedule by the end of this month. We're planning on having the 100% plan submitted to TxDOT. The environmental revaluation done by May. The project letting, like we informed before, by the August of this year. And construction phase services complete by August of 2024. At this moment, we're working with the utility relocation along the project site. On this one, AEP, AT&T, And Spectrum, all the utilities lines are being relocated, and we're expecting for their crews to finish by the end of this month and hopefully by the beginning of next month due to the rain and the weather. The CenterPoint Energy, they don't have to do any relocations. They got the clearance because no adjustment is required. And the City of Laredo Utilities Department, the water and wastewater lines are gonna get relocated within the project bid package. And in reference of the right-of-way coordination, um, some of the fences are being relocated, especially by AEP, and the other property owners were still in communication because they haven't done the movement of their fences. The right-of-way encroachments, we have some floodlights, and AEP is coordinating with the owners to do the relocation or the removal of these floodlights. And like I said, AEP is working on relocating their fence. Into the real estate section, we have the Crown property is scheduled, well, it was for last year. And all the property has been acquired, and it's just the negotiation, some fees that the city has to pay to the property owner. But we do have the real estate, we have everything, and the project is moving along very, very fast. Now I'm going to change to the Fletcher Lane.
Okay, this one here, construction should begin when again?
We're expecting to go out for bids August of 2022.
Okay, good, thank you.
You're welcome.
This has been the making for years.
Yes, Mayor.
What, about 12 years or something?
2005 or 7 or, so we picked it up and I mean, Gloria's been working diligently.
No, you'll say.
That's
just
and we've been pushing hard for the same reason, so.
Yes.
Yeah, these transportation projects take time.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
And the design team and the staff team has changed through the years, so this is the latest team, and we want to go out for bids as soon as possible.
Thank you. Well, we're cheering you. We're behind you.
Yes. In reference to the Fletcher Lane, Las Cruces Drive, along Mines Road, the same date for lading is August of this year. And the environmental study. On this one, we have good news. We were working with the consultant and the Corps of Engineers in reference to the mitigation plan. So the engineer, environmental engineer from CEC, that is our consultant, he was in contact with the Corps of Engineers. And there are some changes that what is in reference to the navigable water protection rule, the ephemeral streams are no longer considered waters of the U.S. So we don't have to get a permit, section of 404 permit of the Clean Water Act. And if this one is not required, we don't need a mitigation plan. So based on this assessment, we have two options. Option number one is to document this assessment in the project file. We have to coordinate with TxDOT, and if they are in agreement, then we can finish, and then we can start going out for bids. In case that we need to do more work, then it's option number two, that is to request an approved jurisdictional determination from the Corps of Engineers to get an official determination of jurisdictional status. If this option is selected, it's gonna take longer. We're gonna need 6 months more in order to get approval. So obviously we want to go with option one, and that's what we're working with our consultant. And he's right now working with the Corps of Engineers, and then he's gonna contact TxDOT department. In reference to the real estate, we have pending one property, 8111 Las Cruces from J&R Gun Investments Ltd. City Council approved last meeting on January 18, authorizing the city attorney to acquire the land necessary for public use pursuant to Chapter 251 of the Texas Local Government Code, Municipal Right of Eminent Domain. So our legal department is working on this issue right now. And we already had the Mr. Resente's property. So we're moving along with the two projects.
Okay, well, thank you very much for the report. Any comments or questions for
Thank you.
Bob? Appreciate it, thank you. C, a discussion and review of TxDOT's fiscal year 2023 Unified Transportation Program and unfunded projects, a discussion on the survey of MPO Technical and Policy Committee members regarding the ranking of unfunded projects.
Yeah, TxDOT will provide a brief overview of the unfunded projects, and then we'll be providing a survey to the members. After the meeting, we'll send you all that.
Mr. Mayor, I just want to start off, Mr. Roberto Rodriguez, our plan supervisor, is going to give us a brief, just scope and description of the projects that are currently unfunded within the MPO boundaries. Obviously, we know we went through this exercise last year, and we felt that it was very, very productive, so we wanted to go through again just to be able to answer any questions. We had hoped, through coordination with Mr. Mendiva, to have a workshop that would have allowed maybe for a little bit more coordination, but unfortunately, that wasn't able to get scheduled. So we're coming to you here to provide you just a glimpse of the current projects that are on the list, answer any questions you may have. And then, as Mr. Mendiva mentioned, after that, the technical committee members and the policy committee members for the MPO will be receiving the survey.
Correct. Good afternoon, Roberto Rodriguez with TxDOT. What I'm going to do, I'm going to go down the list of the projects. Some of y'all may be familiar with these projects, and you may not. If you got any questions, I can go ahead and go to the map and tell you the exact location of these projects, so you can be more familiar with it. And like Mr. Mendiva mentioned, he'll send the survey, afterwards, so you can rank these projects. The first project we have is the Cuatro Vientos extension. That's from Mangana High all the way to Rio Bravo, the Loop 20, or Cuatro Vientos extension. That's one of the projects. The second project that we have is the one of the segments of the outer loop. The Laredo outer loop, this is a segment between US 59 and State Highway 255. That's the north portion of the outer loop. The third project we have, it's the widening of US 59, future I-69. This is from the county line to about 7.5 miles west of FM 2895. Then our next project, it's new location, which is another segment of the outer loop, Laredo outer loop. This is the portion in the middle between 359 and US 59. Our next project shown right here, it's US 59, and this is the first portion from passing about 3 miles east of Arkansas Street, when you have the loop before Loop 20. We go all the way to 7 miles west of 2895. This is also winding US 59 to get it ready for I-69 freeway in the future. And the next one we have, it's on 35. This project, it's 1 mile north of US 83 to about 7 miles north. This is just a little short of the Border Patrol station. This is widening the Interstate 35 from 2 lanes in each directions to 3 lanes on each direction, make it a total of 6 lanes. This continuing with our 6-lane freeway on the way through. Then the next project you see, it's with CSJ 1610. This is the Loop 20 projects. This is the old overpass at Sierra Vista. The next one is the overpass at Lomas del Sur. That's another interchange that we have as a project that's listed, the Lomas del Sur. Our next project, the 0018, 05, 098. This is our widening of Carriers Bridge Drive, right there, just south of Achar. South of Union Royal. Right there, when we have seen all these congestions, we have the proposed winding that bridge. Help out with that.
Just for the record too, I would like to abstain too, since it does involve some 359 wording there, and just for for transparency, and I've got something to deal with, I guess, upstairs. So Judge will chair the meeting and continue chairing.
Just for the record, there's no action taken, so he'd be fine.
Okay, thank you, Judge.
I was at that Carriage Drive bridge just south of Junior Oil Drive. You know, we have a project to widen that bridge to help out with the capacity of the Unitech area and the post construction that's gonna be on the west side. The next project, it's by Seagull Road. This is the new roadway between FM 1472 and 35, which is being developed by the RMA. Our next segment, it's on 35. It's the location it's for 8.3 miles south of La Salle County line to 9.8. This segment, it does include part of the checkpoint. This is the same thing continuing on 35, bringing it from 4 to 6 lanes. The next project, it's Interstate 35. This is a direct connector. This is the direct connector number 4, which is going westbound on US 59 to go northbound on 35. The next project, 0018609. This is the interchange of Loop 20 at Cielito Lindo, south Laredo. Then we have 001806196. This is the winding of what we call the United Avenue overpass. This is the overpass just north of Loop 20 that we expect that connection to the east side, you know, in the future for future development. Then we have another portion of 35, you know, which is 7 miles north of US 83 to 9.8 miles south. That's winding in that. This is exactly ends right about the checkpoint. We have to break the 35 in 3 projects because that's how our control section is broken down, and that way we can have the construction can be a lot can be broken down into 3 segments. So that's why you see 35 in 3 different areas, so we can be widening segments of it. Our last project, 37-10040, this is US 83. This is the winding to 4 lanes, divided highway on US 83 from 35 to SH Highway 255, known as Camino Colombia.
May I? Sorry, the mayor's, I'm the chair now.
Yeah.
Hello. Wake up there, sunshine. All right, here we go. Text out, Mr. Del Salazar, I appreciate everything. You guys are doing a really good job, and obviously I have a little vested interest on one particular, I mean, all of them, but I have one where I have to drive home on every day. You guys have been really good on everything. I just want to make sure to kind of make this comment, and hopefully we could, I don't really want to make a big deal about it, but right now, I really like the fact that you guys are opening up to 4 lanes on Highway 83 North. I will say this, though, it's very uneven. If you guys could work on something, or you could tell your guys, because I see a lot of vehicles bouncing around, and there's not much room to play with. And I have been I've been kind of just trying to tell everybody to be safe and be careful, because regardless of what speed limits you put, there's just the uneven ground is very, I mean, and I know there's already been some accidents, and I'm not blaming it on the road. I'm just blaming it on the fact that, you know, with the heavy fog and whatnot, I'm telling you, you go a little bit and your vehicle's just bouncing around. And I'd like to say I have a new vehicle, and it's a pretty smooth ride, but it still bounces around. So if there's anything that they could do on that, either strip it completely off or something where it's almost the bare minimum, but you're talking about big differences in the elevations there. So I don't know what else you can do, but I do appreciate everything that y'all are doing, and I'm a very big, obviously, advocate of all this and more. I want to see future growth, and I want to see all this growing as much as, you know, we don't want to see it. We don't want to see construction, but then we all want everything now. So, but this is really good for all of us here in Webb County and Laredo. So if I could just make that point, please.
No taking, Your Honor, and I think you called me back a couple of times.
Oh, no, what I called you back on the other day, outstanding. They worked on that really quick. I appreciate that. But I'm just now kind of, it's just so uneven. It's very dangerous. If you want to take a drive out there, just be careful. I don't know if you want to tell your construction guys to go ahead and take it all off, or you'll know exactly what I'm talking about when you're on it.
So, Judge, if you let me know, thank you for that call and that comment. I appreciate that. So, you know, the toughest part about the construction on a narrow roadway like that and the amount of traffic is that you have to face it out. So rest assured, before we pull off of there completely, there will be one more final cap all the way across. that should catch some of that roughness on the bottom layers. I know we have a difficult time trying to face the work out because of the 2 lanes. The reason for that project was that the pavement structure itself had outlasted its life, so we had to rebuild it. I know we get a lot of questions of why didn't you just go to 4-lane divided? We didn't have the funds at that point. But to answer your question, there will be a final cap across the whole thing once we are completed, so you will get some of that smoothness on that final ride. So we will take care of that. There are things that we can do now to lower the speed, but you said it best. You know, we can drop the speed limit, but they're not following the speed limit, and we understand. But the comments are taken, and we will deal with that as we come forth.
Yeah, I'm sorry if I'm not making myself clear. It's not really the final top. That I understand that you're gonna do all that. I have no problem. It's where we're driving on right now, which y'all are stripping off of, because they're obviously, there's 2 lanes, and then there's 2 lanes that are barricaded, right? The 2 lanes that you're driving on, it's very dangerous. I've seen,
Definitely look at that.
I'm driving too much that I've seen cars literally come off the highway or literally kind of hit that barricades or even clip each other. You know, obviously the last big accident that we had was 2 18-wheelers, and they just literally I mean.
We will look at that and address it.
So if you guys could just, and they're doing a great job. I don't want to, I do not want anybody to think that I'm mistaking this by, you know, trying to be ugly or rude here. No, by no means. We just got to make it a little safer for our drivers, please. Thank you.
Any questions on the projects? Thank you.
Yeah, with that being said, you mentioned, safety, and when we send out this survey, you'll see that we just ask you to consider safety, how the projects improve safety in the region, how they reduce congestion, and how they provide mobility equity. So just to keep those things in mind when you're scoring these projects. So we'll be sending that survey out after this meeting.
Look, if it's free, I'm gonna score all of them 100. Very good. I think you are.
I think they wanted to mention.
Mr. Mendive, Chad Brown for the record. Is this the same list of 16 as last year?
I
Maybe that's a text talk question.
think it's about the same. I think last year, actually, they showed why CEO was
What's in
outside of this list, but it's been added here.
No, it's in there.
Yeah, but last year, I think it was shown as like a local
Actually, there's
project.
some,
And it's
there's
been
some
included in
projects.
this list.
Actually, there's some direct connector projects that got funded or are not on here.
So there's some new ones to make up the 16. Part of the question is, should River Road be added to this, or is that not the place for this list?
I
Is there
think
anything there, since it's something the MPO is considering, is it something that belongs within this list, or is it inappropriate to be considered on this list?
No, we can certainly put it on there, but I will, I guess I have to advise you that River Road is soft system right now. So right now, what we're trying to do is compete with
Okay.
state dollars. You can certainly talk to the
Well,
MPO about it.
I just want to make sure,
Yes, okay.
to ask the question, if it was something that should
The
be
survey will
considered.
include a space where you can add other projects to be considered. That way TxDOT can have that. What TxDOT needs this for is they need the MPO's feedback. So we want to just make sure to provide them that. There'll be a space on there, like I mentioned, so you can provide other projects like Rural Road. But the reason I think right now it's not there, it's because you said it's not currently on system.
Okay, no, that makes perfect sense, and that's a good explanation. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thanks.
I just want to further expand too, yeah, it's not on system, we don't currently have an associated CSJ. Like last year, when we added via CO, we actually created the CSJ and allocated the funding that the city and the RMA had allocated to it, which you see on the list. Like Mr. Salazar mentioned, I believe we did have one project drop off, which is direct connector number 6. And only because we actually talked about it earlier, that Mr. Salazar mentioned that got added onto the CSJ that housed DC number 3. So we're able to actually accelerate that construction.
Wow.
And what we also did is the letting estimates, you will notice if you're gonna compare this from last year, we went back and updated all the estimates. So every year that we go and ask for funds, we wanna make sure that we're asking for current dollars with the current scopes on those projects. So we did update those list estimates as well.
Perfect, that's a good explanation. I hope we see this list start changing out every year, which means things got tackled and done.
That's right.
So, great, thank y'all.
Very well, and the next one we have, I believe, is our last one, which is our director's comments. Do you have any comments, Mr. Mendive?
No, I just wanted to add that right now we're undergoing that audit that had been requested before. TxDOT has initiated that, and they've been talking to staff. They might want to reach out to policy committee members. We'll be in communication with you if they desire to speak with policy committee members. That's underway right now. I think they're looking to have a report ready by April.
Very well.
That's all I have for comments.
Okay.
And we'll send you out the correspondence for that special meeting on the 8th.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
Any opposed? Didn't think so. Motion carries.